August 4th, 2002, a day etched in the heart of England. 10-year-old schoolgirls Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman vanished, their disappearance sending shockwaves through the nation. The quaint and peaceful town of Soham, Cambridgeshire, became an epicenter of fear and uncertainty. As days turned into agonizing weeks, the search for Holly and Jessica intensified, morphing into one of the largest manhunts in British history. Hope dwindled with each passing moment, replaced by a chilling premonition that something sinister had befallen the two innocent girls. The disappearance of Holly and Jessica struck a chord that resonated far beyond the borders of Soham. It was a stark reminder of the vulnerability of children and the lurking darkness that can shatter the sanctity of everyday life. The case became a national obsession, dominating headlines and conversations across the country. Parents hugged their children a little tighter, their hearts heavy with empathy for the unimaginable anguish endured by the Wells and Chapman families. The nation held its breath, united in grief and desperate for answers. The idyllic image of rural England, a place where children could play freely without fear, was irrevocably shattered. The faces of Holly and Jessica, frozen in time on countless missing posters, became a haunting symbol of innocence lost. Ian Huntley, the man at the heart of this horrific crime, was no stranger to darkness. Born in 1974, his early life was marred by dysfunction and instability, painting a grim portrait of a troubled childhood. Growing up in the shadow of his domineering father, a violent and controlling figure, Huntley's formative years were steeped in fear and resentment. This volatile environment, devoid of warmth and affection, sowed the seeds of anger and aggression that would later define his life. Even as a child, Huntley exhibited disturbing behavioral patterns, a predilection for cruelty that set him apart from his peers. He was prone to fits of rage, often lashing out at those around him, both animals and children. His behavior became increasingly erratic, marked by a blatant disregard for rules and a disturbing lack of empathy. These early warning signs, often dismissed as mere boyhood mischief, hinted at a deeper psychological disturbance brewing beneath the surface. Huntley's transition into adulthood did little to quell the simmering rage within him. Instead, it provided him with a wider playing field for his manipulative tactics and predatory behavior. He drifted from one dead-end job to another, leaving a trail of broken relationships and shattered trust in his wake. His inability to hold down a job and maintain healthy relationships underscored a deep-seated inability to cope with the demands of normalcy. Fueling his descent into depravity was a growing fascination with young girls, a dangerous obsession that he desperately tried to conceal. He sought out their company, often ingratiating himself with their families to gain access. This predatory behavior, masked by a veneer of normalcy, went largely unnoticed, allowing him to operate under the radar, a wolf in sheep's clothing. Behind closed doors, Huntley's true nature emerged. He began engaging in a series of increasingly risky sexual encounters, often targeting vulnerable young women. By the time Huntley crossed paths with Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman, his predatory patterns were firmly established. He had honed his skills of manipulation and deception, becoming a master at presenting a charming facade to the outside world, concealing the darkness that lurked beneath. This Jekyll and Hyde persona allowed him to move undetected within the community, gaining the trust of those around him, all the while plotting his next move. Huntley sought out positions that placed him in close proximity to young girls, using his position as a school caretaker in Soham as a means to an end. He reveled in the power dynamics of his role, the illusion of authority it afforded him, and the unfettered access to his potential victims. His interactions with young girls became increasingly inappropriate, blurring the lines between friendly and sinister, yet his behavior raised few alarms. On that fateful Sunday afternoon, as Holly and Jessica strolled past Huntley's cottage, their innocent journey took a sinister turn. Lured inside under false pretenses, the girls were trapped, their laughter and chatter silenced by Huntley's depraved intentions. The details of what transpired within the walls of that house remain shrouded in horror, a testament to the depths of human cruelty. The discovery of Holly and Jessica's bodies, 2 weeks after their disappearance, sent shockwaves of grief and outrage throughout the nation. The girls, once symbols of hope, became tragic reminders of the fragility of life and the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of even the most seemingly ordinary individuals. The nation mourned with the families of Holly and Jessica, their collective grief a testament to the profound impact of this horrific crime. In the aftermath of the Soham murders, psychologists and criminologists grappled with the daunting task of unraveling the complexities of Ian Huntley's psyche. What combination of nature and nurture could lead an individual to commit such unspeakable acts? The quest to understand Huntley's motivations became a journey into the darkest recesses of the human mind, an exploration of the factors that contribute to the creation of a monster. Some experts pointed to Huntley's deeply troubled childhood, marked by abuse, neglect, and instability, as a breeding ground for his psychopathic tendencies. The lack of a stable and nurturing environment, coupled with exposure to violence and aggression, likely played a significant role in shaping his distorted worldview and his callous disregard for the well-being of others. Others highlighted Huntley's history of predatory behavior, his escalating pattern of manipulation, sexual deviance, and violence as clear indicators of a deeply disturbed individual. His need for power and control, coupled with a profound lack of empathy and remorse, placed him firmly within the realm of psychopathy, a personality disorder characterized by a lack of conscience and an inability to experience genuine emotions. Section 7. Justice and its aftermath, the trial and sentencing. The trial of Ian Huntley became a media spectacle, the nation captivated by the unfolding courtroom drama. The prosecution presented a compelling case, weaving together a tapestry of forensic evidence, witness testimony, and Huntley's own contradictory statements, painting a damning portrait of a calculated and remorseless killer. The defense, hampered by the overwhelming evidence against their client, resorted to portraying Huntley as a deeply troubled individual, a victim of his own dysfunctional upbringing, in an attempt to mitigate his culpability. Throughout the trial, Huntley maintained a stoic demeanor, his face betraying little emotion, even when confronted with the horrific details of his crimes. His lack of remorse and apparent indifference to the suffering he had caused further fueled public outrage, solidifying his image as a monster devoid of humanity. The jury, tasked with delivering a verdict based solely on the evidence presented, found Huntley guilty on 2 counts of murder. Section 8. Scars on a Community, Soham's Long Road to Healing. In the wake of the Soham murders, the once peaceful town found itself grappling with the aftermath of unimaginable tragedy. The idyllic image of their community, a place where children could play freely without fear, had been shattered, replaced by a pervasive sense of loss, anger, and mistrust. The streets, once filled with the laughter of children, fell silent, the joy and innocence of childhood seemingly extinguished by the shadow of Huntley's crimes. The people of Soham, bound together by grief and a shared sense of vulnerability, faced the daunting task of rebuilding their lives and their community. The healing process was slow and arduous, marked by periods of profound sadness, anger, and guilt. Support groups and counseling services became lifelines for many, providing a safe space to share their grief, their fears, and their hopes for the future. Section 9. Lessons learned, protecting the vulnerable. The Soham murders served as a chilling wake-up call for England, exposing systemic failures in child protection measures and highlighting the need for greater vigilance in identifying and managing potential predators. The case sparked widespread debate and led to significant reforms in the way authorities handle allegations of sexual abuse, conduct background checks, and monitor individuals who pose a risk to children. One of the most significant outcomes of the Soham tragedy was the establishment of the Independent Safeguarding Authority, ISA, later replaced by the Disclosure and Barring Service, DBS. This organization was tasked with vetting individuals who work with children and vulnerable adults, ensuring that those with a history of predatory behavior are barred from such positions. The creation of the DBS marked a major step forward in preventing future tragedies by creating a more robust and centralized system for identifying and managing potential risks. Section 10. Echoes of Soham, a reminder of vigilance. More than 2 decades have passed since the Soham murders, Yet the echoes of that tragedy continue to reverberate, serving as a poignant reminder of the importance of vigilance, the fragility of innocence, and the enduring need to protect the most vulnerable among us. The faces of Holly and Jessica, forever etched in the national consciousness, serve as a haunting reminder of the devastating consequences of complacency and the importance of remaining vigilant in the face of potential threats. The Soham murders forced society to confront the uncomfortable reality that evil can lurk in the most unexpected places, often concealed beneath a veneer of normalcy. The case highlighted the importance of trusting our instincts, recognizing the warning signs of predatory behavior, and speaking out when something doesn't feel right. The legacy of Soham is a call to action, a reminder that safeguarding children is a collective responsibility that demands unwavering attention, and a commitment to creating a society where their safety is paramount.